Oh, I amuse myself in so many stupid ways. Hello, everyone. This is Andy Hall. You're watching Late Night with me, Andy Hall, Jack Matirko, and of course, the incredible, the funny, the dangerous. I'm going to say that, the dangerous Ian Harris. How are you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, I can't complain. I can't complain. Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I could. Right, I could.
Well, yeah.
So many things. Ian, when was the last time that we talked to each other?
Well, last time I was on. Well, you were on my podcast, or I was on your podcast. That was the last time we talked. Zoom to Zoom.
Zoom. I think I was on your show then. Yeah.
Yeah. That was about a month ago. Little over a month.
Well, I don't know what we're going to talk about since nothing's really been going on.
No, it's been pretty slow news. It's been a slow news minute. See, it's so funny. We it's like, so Ty and I, so we have a podcast that Jack, we have to have you on. That's been we need to, but Ty and I started out doing a comedy podcast like 2 years ago, and it turned into a nonstop political podcast because we'd be like, okay, we're just going to talk about the news today because we have to talk about this. We can't not talk about it. Right. So, and then every single week, it's like, we can't not talk about this. How can you not talk about it? And it turned into like a political podcast. It was never meant to be a political podcast.
Especially with you two, because like so much of the act that you and Ty did together was already centered around, interracial issues and interreligious issues. And that's just right at the forefront of all of this bullshit that we're going through. So
seriously. Yeah. It's crazy how like every day you think, well, maybe nothing will happen this week. And then it's a matter of like, which crazy thing do you talk about? I mean,
it's amazing the stuff that we miss just because this is the thing, the Trump presidency is the stuff that's sucking all the oxygen out of the room.
Right.
The stuff that just goes by unnoticed. And you're just like, when the hell did that happen? Right. Like,
I will say that's the good thing that a lot of people, I'm optimistic that when Trump is gone, I know he's not going to be immediately gone, and Trumpism isn't going to go away immediately, and racism has been there, and these racist douches have been there forever. Of course, they were in the closet, or a lot of them weren't emboldened, or a lot of them maybe weren't radicalized, or whatever the deal is. But I think that a lot of it's going to actually go away because part of it is that we pay him lip service every day. He's the president, so you can't ignore him. But I mean, even though he was in the limelight a few years back with, the birtherism and all that kind of stuff, he wasn't all everybody talked about all the time. It was every now and then you're like, do you hear that crazy Donald Trump dude said about Obama? Oh my God. But he occupied every news cycle because he's the freaking president. I think once he's not the president, I don't think he's going to occupy every news cycle.
I'm going to say something pretty radical. We're only like 3.5 minutes into the show, but it just came to me when I was watching the news this evening, and Joe Biden is lucky for two reasons. And once again, I know this is going to be very unpopular. One is because of COVID, because I still believe he would not be president. He would not be president on the 20th if it wasn't for COVID. I think Trump would have beaten him. And because of this horrible thing that happened in the Capitol, the Trump brand is now tarnished for a lot of people, for a lot of middle of the road Americans. You have Colin Powell on all the Sunday news shows going around talking what a piece of trash Trump and Trumpism is. And I think that is going to give Biden a bigger opportunity to actually get what he needs to get done.
I hope so. And the funny thing is, like, you see all these people who are jumping ship, and you see all these people saying, somebody came out today and said, I can't remember who it was, said, some senior staffer, someone was like, yeah, I didn't see it before, but Trump is a fascist. That was like a headline somewhere. And it was somebody who you were like, really? You've been, but I wonder how many people were that taken. I did say to Ty a while ago, I said, the thing is when we all know this, dealing with religious people a lot and being in organizations and groups that where people were super religious and have come away from it. We see what it's like when someone was in a cult and comes out of it. They go, whoa, how did I believe that? That's crazy. I think there's going to be quite a few people who are like, who once they get some distance are going to be like, oh, wow, I was nuts. But how many of these people you think they've known all this time and now they're just doing it because they're like, okay, cool, the ship has sailed. I can't believe I was taken by this guy. Oh my gosh! But the whole time they were just doing it, which makes them worse people, in my opinion.
But you have to let them do that, especially because there are still the people who are holding on to the cult. The weirdest story I saw in the last day or two was the Maricopa County GOP here in Arizona has formally voted to censure Cindy McCain, and now the state GOP will be voting on that next week, the same censure. And I'm reading the thing that they put out, like, this is the reasons why we're going to censure Cindy McCain. And I just keep thinking, when they do this in Scientology, they call them suppressive persons, but it's the exact same thing.
Wait. So they're going to censure Cindy McCain for what?
For not being mean to Donald Trump, basically. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
No, I read the same article, and it is basically for what they called it in the documentation was that she was supporting the other party and maybe even foreign interests, to tell you the truth. And it's just, and I'm sorry for the pun, a trumped up charge.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. And if you read, it's just like, well, we're just not going to associate with you anymore because you're bringing us down. And it really is the whole Scientology suppressive person thing. It's crazy.
I just want to start off with first principles. Abram Perkins from the chat says, I hope Trump goes to jail for a long time. Yeah.
Me too.
Yes. Here's the thing. The thing that also that throws me is that it makes me wonder. I mean, obviously they're all, we know that like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham are the biggest pieces of garbage. I mean, at least McConnell, who is perhaps the most corrupt, evilest person we've ever had in politics, to my knowledge, that I remember, at least that he's an evil piece of crap. Like, he'll tell you, oh, no, we're going to screw everybody over. We don't care. It's partisan, and that's all it is. Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz pretend to be doing stuff. And I mean, the guy basically called Ted Cruz's wife an ugly whore. And he was just like, whatever, baby, it's politics. Like, he's my buddy now. But the weird thing is, I think, how dumb are they that they think a lot of these guys like Hawley and Cruz and these guys that are still on the Trump train, or on even Lindsey Graham, who was on the Trump train up until 2 minutes ago, they have been doing this strictly for political purposes, right? They think if I go against Trump, I'm going to lose my base. But we're seeing Biden won by 7 million votes. We're seeing that the House's or the Senate's turned barely, but it's turned. We're seeing that being on the Trump train isn't really this big boon that they act like it is going. And also, they act like Trump is. How do they not? They have to know he's a narcissist. They have to know he's all for himself. Do they really think Trump is going to hang around and help out the Republican Party when he's not in office? He doesn't care about that. There's no money in it for him when he can't rob us blind and take money from the taxpayers.
I think they're afraid of Trump after he gets out of office just because of getting primaried in their elections, in their districts and in their states, because the Trump voters are the Republican primary voters. And so Trump doesn't have to control the whole party. He just has to control the primary voters, and that's what he's got.
But my point is that when he's gone, he's not going to be in politics. I just don't see him. He's not going to run in 2024. He's going to be 100 years old. He doesn't care. He didn't want it this time. You listen to Howard Stern and the people who know him, they're like, he didn't want it at all. He doesn't want, once he's gone, the only reason he wants to hold on to it now is because he's afraid he's going to go to prison. Once he's gone and either he does or doesn't go to prison, if he doesn't go to prison, he's not going to try to get the presidency back at 78 years old or whatever. He's not going to do that. But also, he's not going to be in politics. When he was never in politics before, he's going to go back. He's going to have a reality show. He's going to start a news network. He's going to do something, and he'll have a few people. But those people, as we saw in Georgia, the people who voted for Trump voted for Trump. They voted for the Republicans down the board because that's the red box they clicked. But they didn't show up when Trump wasn't on the ballot.
Right.
So are these people is that 20 or 30 or 40% of the Republican Party show up when Trump isn't there?
Are Trump voters even going to show up in a midterm in 2022?
Especially with Trump not around, I don't think so.
Yeah. It could just be tied to his personal cult.
Right.
Cult of personality.
I think it definitely is.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes out and says, "Hey, look, everybody go vote for this guy and this is the new guy, and he starts campaigning for people, then yeah, it might help. But does anybody really see Donald Trump going out and campaigning and doing rallies when he's not president, or there's no way he can make money off it? I just don't see him doing that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point. Just for the chat, Angier says McConnell looks like a flaccid, uncut penis. Well, that's a good point. I mean, so here's the see, and I hate this. I hate that I have to try to get try to get into Donald Trump's head, right? I hate the idea of trying to get in there and psychologize.
And there's not a lot of room in there anyway.
It's very stuffy.
Well, okay, so let's start small, right? You're throwing this what did they call it? The March to Save America or whatever it was on Wednesday, whatever branding name they put on that.
Stop the steal.
You're Donald Trump. So at your hotel in Washington, D.C., do you charge triple or quadruple for the night before that?
Yeah, right.
You know what's incredible is that I don't know if you guys know this about the Harrington. It's the Hotel Harrington in Washington, D.C., where the Proud Boys would go to hang out. And, even the Harrington knew to shut its doors like days before the riot, days before the count. They were closed like, I think, the 4th and the 5th and the 6th. They just said, we don't want anything to do with this chaos. And they had a better way of dealing with the Proud Boys than the Capitol.
The one thing I will say, I got called out by a little of my super woke left friends about 2 years ago, and I'm really glad to see that finally this year George Takei took my meme and ran with it, and it became a huge thing. But about 2 years ago, I did a whole post about how the Proud Boys, they call themselves the Proud Boys, and I go, what we should do is we should start showing up to Proud Boy rallies with rainbow stuff and going, oh shit, we thought this was a Pride March.
Right.
Yeah.
And going, yay, Pride, and just commandeering the Proud Boys and think it's a Pride. And I remember putting like memes up and going, whoa, this is not the Pride March I thought it was, and whatever. And a couple friends going, hey man, don't be homophobic. I'm like, I'm making a joke, whatever. Well, quit, whatever, saying that's messed up that you would say, whatever. And now like a couple months ago, George Takei took that idea and like everybody was hashtagging Proud Boys.
Yeah, no, that was huge. Just bears making out on Twitter for
Proud
2 days.
Rally.
I aspire my channel to be a place where people don't have to explain the jokes. That at least the people on the show understand what the joke is.
I mean, I get why people. I forgot exactly what the gripe was, but they were like, oh, that's not cool to somehow conflating that it was homophobic or that I'm making a gauge that I'm making fun of them for being gay, and there's nothing wrong. I'm like, no, I'm not making fun of them for being gay. They're afraid of being gay.
Being terrified of being called gay.
Right, exactly. Which hell of course you shouldn't have to. I'm not saying they're stupid for being gay. I'm saying no, they think they're afraid of being gay, so call them that.
Yeah.
Especially when they pick the worst name. Like,
yeah. I don't even know how that happened.
Andy, how come all these Proud Boy motherfuckers all look like they're trying to be models on a Just for Men box?
No, I don't understand. I don't understand why. They all have a look.
Right.
Yeah. It's like the high and tight with the beard, and you're just why?
Well, but it's obvious too. It's so funny. They go, it's not about racism. It's not about racism. Your name is the Proud Boys because white pride was taken. Like that's literally why they're called the Proud Boys. They are proud. It's pride. It's a white pride thing. And they always point that one of the leaders, Denny Terrio, or whatever his name was, Enrique Denny Terrio he was black. He's dark skinned. I don't know if he's Puerto Rican or he's got a Latin name, Enrico Terrio or something like that. But he's black.
I was going to save this for the show tomorrow because I'm streaming tomorrow morning. I do this Monday through Friday. But a little something about this guy. Wait a minute. This is the wrong one. Here it is. This is a bit about, I found from, I think it's Salon, that the Proud Boys chairman, this guy that you're talking about, Terrio, he lives with his mom. He lives with his mom.
The funny thing too is that it's like they go, look, he's black and he's got a Latin name, so he can't be racist. Well, not true. I'm not saying that he can't be racist, but he's definitely supporting other racists and nationalists. But also, it's funny because about 2 years ago when I was saying it, I said eventually what's going to happen is all these white these type of groups, they get to a certain point and they use people like that to go, look, see, we're not racist. They also had the guy that used to be in the atheist community, Andy No, who's I believe I know he's Asian. I think he's gay. And I think that was the thing is they were like, oh, look, we have a gay Asian and a black guy with a Latin sounding name. We're not racist. And they do that until they get enough notoriety. And then they always splinter off and go. And I was saying that probably 3-4 days before they split, about a couple months ago, they split. And the other founder, the other guy that went off and started his new thing, I forgot, I don't remember what the new one's called, the League of Hot Pants or whatever their sounding name is. And he said, he goes, yeah, now we're a new organization that doesn't have token gays and blacks. It's like, oh, interesting. Like, so you weren't racist, but now you've dumped the one gay guy and the one black guy, and now you're like, now we're a real organization.
So did you guys discover during the whole chaos on the Capitol and the aftermath any new nuggets or nooks and crannies of contempt or hatred? Because I have found new avenues, new people to dislike that I didn't even know existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's this guy, the Maryland governor, right? I think his name is Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan could have sent in the guard, right? He could have sent in the guard, but he quote unquote had to wait an hour and a half to get the okay. He had to wait an hour and a half. He had the people ready. He was right in Maryland, right across, right there, but he had to get an okay from the federal government to send his troops in. And now this guy just happens to be a Republican, and he just happens to be running for president in 2024.
No. Well, so, he's gonna have to contend with Hawley.
Right.
The other 2024 candidate. Yeah, I mean, I will say that every time I see the pictures of these guys, I like Southern rock from the 70s a little less.
Well, you're right.
They all look like a bad Southern rock band, or like my friend. I was like the guy with the horns and the thing, and the standing next to the guy with the big beard. They look like they, I call him Incel Skinnerd. And
I like that. That's the crappy cover band on a Sunday night,
right?
At a towny bar. Incel Skinnerd.
My friend Zen called them the pillage people.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, it's these. I also love the people that are the whole. I love seeing the memes and seeing the posts. I mean, we saw it with Trump, like every five seconds. He would, something he would say, you would be able to, he said about Obama, you could, they kept doing that where he would do something and then you could repost one of his tweets about Obama. There was exactly what he just did. Right. I love the ones now where everyone, Tommy Lahren and all these idiots were saying, wait till Trump wins and you're going to see how violent the left is. We would never do that. We would never do, right? You're going to see these anti-American people who can't accept the election, all the get over it and all that sort of stuff. And now here they are doing exactly the thing that they said that the left would do, which the left has never done. And, I pointed out to somebody about the 5 people that died and a police officer and all sort of stuff. My friend said, well, what about hundreds of people that died at the BLM rallies? Hundreds of people that died. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no one.
Where is this? You mean the 3 people that the right-wing dude, 17-year-old kid shot?
Yeah. It's I know the statement that you were talking about, Tommy Lahren, right? That's right. Her name. And about how she was saying on November 3rd, it's like, oh, we're the good ones. We're not going to riot. We're going to be able to accept the will of the people. She's saying this, of course, thinking that Trump's going to win.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, also, but even that, I don't like. I mean, it's speculative, but I think honestly, if Trump had won, they still would have rioted the same way the Flyers fans do after they win the cup.
Yeah, I mean, the responsible gun owners are always looking for a reason to shoot somebody. It's always the guy posting the video with his 2 ARs going like, I hope they do. Like it's always.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but, and I haven't been able to confirm this, but one of the people who, one of the Trump supporters who died, and I heard this and I'm not sure, supposedly tased themselves to death in their testicles. He had his taser in his pants and he was doing some kind of crazy stuff. And the gun went off, the taser went off. And I don't even know. I don't know if it's real or not. I only found a few references of it online, not from a reliable source in my information. I mean, maybe people in the chat have heard about the man who tased himself in the testicles and killed himself that way. I don't know. Gave himself a heart attack. Right.
Wow. But I know the GIF from Community that I would use to make fun of that.
What's that?
in NBC's Community, there's this bit where the Senior Chang character is tasing himself in the testicles. It's perfect.
I don't know if I don't know if it's true, but I hope it is.
So do I. That's why I'm so skeptical about it, Ian. That's why I'm so skeptical about it, because I want to believe it so much. I want to believe someone, this redneck, this dude who happened to put a taser in his pants. I want it to be true, so real, so much. That's why I think it isn't, or that's why I'm skeptical about it.
No, absolutely, that makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, you don't want it to be a confirmation bias that you just go, oh yeah, of course that's because it seems so perfect. But who was it that was saying, just I was talking to somebody just today about one of the guy who got trampled to death. Was that who was it that said it was the guy who got trampled to death, and he was wearing either a cape, flag, or a T-shirt that said "Don't tread on me." It's just too.
It's too perfect. Joke writes itself.
My friend goes, I think irony is dead. You can't even. It's so ridiculous. The guy.
What was the end game? Was there, because with revolutions, there's like a plan, right? There's a plan that you're gonna like the Irish during the Easter Rebellion, right? I think it was like 1915, 1916. There was a plan. They were gonna
started by my great uncle.
Oh, really?
Yes, James Larkin, Big Jim Larkin.
Well, if you ever come to Boston, we'll go to the end after the pandemic's over, of course. There's a pub called the Black Rose. I hope to my fictitious God it's still there. We'll have a couple of drinks at the bar, and there is a picture of Michael Collins screaming right up on the wall, Ian.
When I went to Dublin, and there's a big, whether or not it's one of those things where my grandmother could be full of shit. My grandmother's from Ireland. Her last name is Larkin. She used to tell me when I was a little kid, oh, my uncle or my great uncle was a labor leader, and he was, the Easter Rebellion and all this stuff. And she would say, Jim Larkin. And I remember telling some Irish people, yeah, I'm supposed to be related to some guy. And they would lose their shit. What the? You don't know who Big Jim Larkin? It's like Abraham Lincoln, yeah, fuck. Like they get crazy. So we went to Ireland, and there's a statue of him in the town square in Dublin. And actually, his quotes are amazing. Like you read the quotes, and I'm like, man, this guy was like Zapata. It was like Abraham Lincoln. It was like the quotes. Is this huge statue of him like this in the town hall in the center of Dublin, and it says like, "The great appear great because we are on our knees. Let us rise."
Oh,
and I was beautiful. Like, "That's cool," and I'm like, "That's even if he just has the same last name and my grandma's full of shit." I'm like, it's kind of cool thinking that maybe that really is my great uncle,
Right?
But yeah, so he was one of the whole
the ringleaders,
ringleaders of the labor unions that started the whole Easter Rebellion. Yeah.
Right. So what was their plan? Was there a plan? Was it just to go in there, throw like some kind of party, and then steal stuff, steal Nancy Pelosi's mail? Was that the extent of the plan?
Go ahead.
Well, it depends on which sources you're asking. My understanding is, to the extent there was a plan, they had hoped to breach the chamber so they could get hold of the ballots themselves. Because
they were going to burn the ballots.
Yeah, if they could destroy the ballots themselves, then they're basically forcing a revote, right?
Right. And then also, I think maybe they were going to try to kidnap. I mean, they had zip ties. Several people had zip ties. Right. I think they were going to kidnap.
Yeah, there was capturing teams definitely involved. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched Malcolm Nance on MSNBC at all since this has started, but Malcolm Nance is he's been CIA spook for ages, and I have never seen him with less fucks to give and just be like, no, here's what we need to do. Okay, we're gonna do the inauguration. We're gonna close off basically all of Washington D.C.
Yeah,
it's like there's only going to be one person moving. There are two people moving, Biden and his limo driver, and that's it inside of this perimeter. Like,
Yeah, at this point, do the fucking inauguration on Zoom. we don't need it.
That I disagree with. That I think doing it like that, it shows them that it lets them think that they're that much of a threat. Like there has to be this. We do it this way. We do it where we're supposed to, when we're supposed to. Okay, there's not going to be much of an audience, but John Roberts and Joe Biden, on the Capitol steps. That's what happens. It doesn't matter if there's nobody around other than a cameraman, but.
So here's another. I mean, obviously they're going to take this seriously now, but here's the thing that we talked about on my podcast this week, and I'm really not sure. I mean, it depends on what side of cynicism you fall on, but when they knew the threats, we all knew the threats. We all knew what people were talking about. You could go on Parlay. I'm not going to pronounce it Parlor because it's Parlay, and also Parlay is French for discussion, to talk. Right. So that's what it's about. And I'm sorry, you dumbasses who like it don't like French people, but that's your fucking problem for being on a site that's with a French name. But anyway, we all knew what was going on. The police knew what was going on, the CIA, and either they didn't care and they let it happen, or they drank their own Kool-Aid and thought, well, these people are all talk and they're not actually going to do something. Because it seems like every time there's an Antifa or a BLM rally, there's armed guards and there's people in tanks and they're ready to like, that guy's skin is too dark, and they're crazy. And here it's like, well, you know what? Let's put a couple of fat guys with some water balloons in the front and see if anybody gets past them. And it's like I don't know if that was because there was some sort of like, all right, let's let it happen, or if there was because they were like, nah, it's not really going to happen. Either one of those is wrong.
Well, I think you're totally right on that. If it was at the very least, right? Let's say that no one is planning to allow the rioters to come in, that there's no scheme to have very little security there. Then at the very least, it is an example of systemic racism in this country. It is an example of white privilege that people just assume everything's going to be okay. Right. Whenever there aren't black people around.
Right.
And if that isn't a manifestation of white privilege and systemic racism, I don't know what is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's either that or they were cool with it, or they were kind of hoping it would happen. Like, yeah. To me, I don't see any other way around it. Like, I mean, if it's like, well, these good white people who, even though they're crazy and even though they believe conspiracies and whatever, they're not really violent types because they don't like the violence of the left. It's the left that's violent. All those terrorist acts, yeah, they've all been caused by Black Lives Matter people. Like the entire history of terrorism in America, it's always leftists. Yeah, that they either bought that, which is fucking nonsense,
yeah,
or they didn't, and they pretended to. Like, I don't know which it is, but neither one of those are a good scenario.
Marmaduke Scarlet from the chat says the cops were definitely in on it. Well, some were. I think there's. Wait. What's that? What's that term? A few bad apples.
Right. I mean, but we also have to be very careful because I've seen a lot of people posting videos of the cops leaving, and they're like, "Look, the cops just let them in." It's like, well, you've got one video, that's 30 seconds long of cops leaving. But I did watch extended ones, and I saw reports where there was one point where the people were punching, like right before the girl got shot in the neck from the Secret Service guy on the inside. People were punching, and the guy was like, "Look, bro, get out of here, bro. We don't want to hurt you." And there's like two cops standing there, and the cops are like, "Get the fuck out of here," whatever. And the guy's punching the window. And of course, if that were a black guy punching the window of something else, he would have already been tased. But regardless, he's punching the window, and they're like, "Get out of here. We don't want to hurt you." And all of a sudden, the three cops that are there just walk out. And then they start storming the building, and then the girl gets shot in the neck, and everyone's like, "Why did those cops leave?" And what I heard after doing more research on it, if I just watched that video, I'd be like, "That's weird. They just left." But the tactical officers that you see moments later had waved them off, had said, "Get out of here. It might get violent, and you're not equipped. So you three guard guys walk away. We've got Secret Service on the inside, and we've got tactical guys coming in. Go ahead and leave, so you don't get caught in the middle and get killed because you're not equipped." So if that's the case, which it seems to be the case, if you look at it from the other perspective, you're like, "Oh, those cops just let them in." No, they were told to leave by the authorities.
It seems at its core, it seems similar to Charlottesville. Anyone could have told you that there was going to be violence in Charlottesville. It was all over social media. People were lining up. Just the tiki torch sales could have just, told you there was going to be problems. But there just wasn't enough law enforcement there. There just wasn't a show of force, which, with those BLM protests, they were happy to have a show of force right there. They were happy to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's where the cardinal sin on Wednesday occurred, is that there just wasn't enough. There wasn't a show of force to keep those yahoos out of the Capitol.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and there was no rubber bullets. There was no tear gas. There was nothing.
Yeah.
I suppose there's a certain amount of the same naivete that Trump has taken advantage of his entire presidency, where, they're just like, okay, Trump's having this rally, but whatever, they're all going to be a few blocks away and they'll have their little pep rally thing, and then they'll all disperse and go home once he gets off stage. Like, they weren't expecting Trump to be like, we're going to march over there and we're going to make them do what we want them to do. That whole thing that he did, which is fucking ridiculous, and they're going to be teaching it in rhetoric classes for generations, right?
It was like a scene from the Wizard of Oz where the witch just sends the monkeys out, right? The flying monkeys. Just go out, do my bidding.
And did you see the video on? I always forget which Trump, which son it is, if it's Beavis or Butthead, but one of the Trump sons video taping, or like a live streaming when they're watching. And I know that they said it was before everything happened, but even if it was before, what's going on there, and you're still celebrating insurrection, regardless of whether or not they've stormed the building or not. But they're dancing, and like that psycho Guilfoyle chick is like, by the way, again, dancing to Gloria. Really, Gloria? That's the song that, and Trump is doing his little Trump dance thing, and they're watching it, and they're like, "Yes, this is great. Yeah, they're taking over the Capitol, and they're cheering on that they're gonna protest their votes."
I saw that video with that woman dancing, doing her little white girl shuffle, right? Horrible. So, guys, what do you think you should do? So, everyone in the chat too. 25th Amendment, impeachment. We do, and of course, impeachment now means going into the next administration too, where things can happen, serious things could happen. So what are your thoughts about this? Well, should we do nothing? Should we do nothing to Trump?
I mean, I don't know that any of it matters. I mean, the impeachment, if the only thing that's going to happen is if they remove him, like everyone keeps going, if they impeach him, then he can't run for office and he can't do this. No, he's already been impeached, and he has to be removed. That we might get 51 votes to remove him now. We might actually, And if we wait till January 21st, we're not going to be removing him anyway. So all it would be is like just in that case, it would be a bullshit slap on the wrist that people would see as a partisan. That might divide people more and be like, oh, now you're just impeaching a guy who's not even there anymore just to be dicks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps anything. I'd rather just see him go to prison.
I kind of feel like if the Senate voted to remove him from office on the 21st, which is what we think it would have to be, which doesn't make any sense because he'd already be out of office.
Right.
But that would kind of be equivalent to that thing he did with the football league against the NFL, where he technically won the case, but he only won like $3 because the judge was like, this is fucking bullshit that you squirmed your way through.
On some level, I would like to see him be the only president to be impeached twice.
Oh yeah, twice in one term. That's worth the price of entry.
Ever. No one's been impeached twice, but twice in one term and twice in a year.
Yeah.
Twice within a year. I mean, within 13 months, but still, like that to me would be pretty amazing, even if it doesn't actually go to trial.
Imagine it going to trial, all right? And I just want to paint the picture. Imagine it goes to trial in the next administration. Somehow we're able to get, I think it's a 2/3 vote in the Senate. And even though, he's not in office, what we do is take away all of his perks. We take away, strip him of ever being able to run for office again. But there's all the other perks that he gets for being a president for life: office space, all the money,
detail,
all this other stuff.
I think ex-presidents can still get a daily security briefing, which he should not get.
Well, he's never gotten one anyway, so who cares?
He never read them in the first place. Yeah,
he's not going to start reading them now. He's not working.
Tons of mice says Python comes down.
And squishes him flat.
Well, the idea that I like so far is like once he's out of he makes it to the 20th. He pardons himself for anything that they can possibly pin on him that's federal. As far as I'm aware, incitement to riot is still against the law as a Washington, D.C. city code. So,
well, he's still got all the charges. He's got the rape charge that he can't hide behind anymore. He can't hide his DNA anymore.
Even bringing in the Southern District of New York shit.
So he should be charged with all this stuff. Here's the other thing: is I honestly. He can't pardon himself. Everyone has come down to the fact that he's not going to be able to pardon himself. He might be able to pardon all the people around him, Flynn and Manafort, and for his kids and all these other people that are involved in stuff. But what people keep saying that they forget is that if he pardons these other people, so Trump's in kind of a rough place because he's too narcissistic to resign. What he should do is resign and let Pence pardon him. Okay. He should do that now. Resign. He's only got 10 days left anyway. Resign. Let Pence pardon you. You're on your way out anyway. Who the hell cares? But he won't do it because he's too much of a narcissist. So if he can't pardon himself, even if he tries, if he pardons all the people around him, then they can't plead the fifth. Once you pardon, you cannot plead the fifth.
Part of accepting the pardon is admitting guilt.
Right. And if you're pardoned, you cannot plead the fifth because you're not incriminating yourself. So it's so by pardoning, so he either has to pardon nobody and risk what happens on the other side, or he needs to quit and let Pence pardon him. But he's too proud to quit. And he still thinks, I really think Trump, part of it is he's playing this up and playing these idiots that are in the space. But also, I think Trump is kind of bought into his own, drank his own Kool-Aid. And I think he actually believes on some level that he won the election and that he is going to be there on the 21st. And if not, I don't know what the hell else he's doing. So on some level, I'm kind of like, let's just let it go. Let's be done with it and say, look, we took the high road. And as soon as he's out, let's see his tax returns. let's go after him for federal tax evasion. Let's go after him for that. Let's get the DNA so we can go after the rape case. All the southern, like you said, all the stuff, Southern District stuff that's out there. Now we can go after him for incitement to treason. We can do up to all sorts of things. So I kind of just feel like let it go, because he's not gonna.
This is the difference between Ian and me. I am a fan of the beat the person down as often as possible. And if I was a coach for a football team, I would be running up the score as much as humanly possible, even in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. I'd be like, yeah, we're up by 30 points. Let's go. I don't even know why we're not ahead by more. So I would
because even if you don't manage to convict him, if you can shove him into some sort of Willie Loman fever dream that just leaves him a husk of a person, that I'll take that.
I mean, a lot of the senators, even the ones that didn't vote which again, it goes back to, drives me crazy, these people that are like, well, yeah, now we see what you were talking about. It's like everything he's doing, we've been saying he's going to do since November 3rd, 2016. Like, well, and they're like, oh, now we're seeing it. But there are people now that are like, there are some, Murkowski, and there are people like that are like, yeah, I would, in hindsight, we should have convicted. In hindsight, we should have done, yes. They're saying, oh, this new one is, there's tons of Republicans that are like, this is definitely impeachable. So maybe if the House introduces the articles and it doesn't go to the Senate and he gets out and at least he goes on record as being impeached twice by the House, that's cool. I just think that, I don't know. I don't know.
I think if you got him on the run, you got to keep him on the run. To quote Nathan Bedford Forrest, not a good man, Nathan Bedford Forrest from the Civil War on the Confederate side, but still he knew what he had. He knew how to fight people. And Trump is on the ropes. You want to keep hitting him on the ropes.
No, I agree. My only thing is that I wonder, I mean, I don't know if we can fix the partisanship and the division in this country. I've been saying that it's like this since Reagan, and people have disagreed with me, but I'm like, I don't see them being any different. I've since I was a kid been like, oh, those people are greedy. They don't care about other humans. I don't think they're any different. I really don't. I just think that now some of them are emboldened and some of them are radicalized. I don't know if we can get back from that, but I do know that if we impeach the guy again, it's only going to add fuel to the conspiracy nuts fire that they're like, see, you've been just trying to get him for no reason for all.
And this is another difference between you and me, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, I really think that the country cannot go on the way that it is. The country is either going to be all one thing or the other. Yes, I am lifting lines from Abraham Lincoln. It's clear that the country is either go towards Venezuela or it's going to go towards Norway, and it cannot be some kind of hybrid system that we've been having especially over the last 40 years. And so that's why I think especially liberals and progressives should understand that we're in a life and death struggle, and that we need to dominate. We need to dominate.
Sure.
So that their voices, that 20% of the voices that are fascists and white supremacists are, in a generation or two, they'll just die out, and we'll have a kinder, gentler population. That's what I think.
I 100% agree with that. I think, though, that I think what I'm saying is that I think that what keeps happening is, and I had a talk with a good friend of mine who is, she's she's a libertarian. She's an atheist, comedian.
How do you? Oh, she's a comedian. Oh, right.
She's an atheist. She's a comedian. She's a fan of yours. She's a lesbian.
Okay.
But she's an atheist, all that sort of stuff. But she is from the South and still has that, like, I like guns, and has a little bit of that sort of stuff, and voted for Joe Jorgensen and all that, but has voted for Hillary last time. She said she voted for Obama before. But the thing is with her is that she says what a lot of people keep saying, which I keep hearing this over and over, and it doesn't make sense to me, where they say, I want to see some sort of balance. She's like, I'm scared now that the House, the Senate, and the presidency are all, I think when there's too much power on one side, it screws things up. And I'm like, there's no checks and balances. And I'm like, but when it's split, zero gets done.
Zero.
And my point is that, my point is that when we go, let's impeach him and let's do that, and we go after him like that, I think there's that little small amount of people that are what keeps shifting shifting stuff from 51% to 51% this way, that 3 or 4% that freak out and go, you've gone too far. You Democrats have gone off the rails. And next time I'm going to vote for a Republican. So because you have too much power, and they start buying into the conspiracies that everybody's the same and that they're all trying. I agree that Democrats and and left in general, we have to play way harder. We have to be dirty. We have to. I agree that we need to do all that. But my point is that when we do stuff that they see as like impeaching a guy, that it's not going to matter. It just looks like you're playing partisan bullshit. And then people go, well, then I'm not going to vote for you anymore because you're just playing partisan politics. And you said you're better than that. That's the only thing I worry about.
But the thing here is how come, like, it in every time that scenario comes up, it's always letting the Republican off the hook.
I agree. Yeah.
As opposed to like when a Democrat does that, they don't let up at all.
Yeah.
Ever. Right? How long did
Republicans just
Hillary for Benghazi? It was like, it's ridiculous, right?
By the way, look at the parallels to Benghazi. 4 people died on American soil in another country, and we had So it was a terrorist attack on a U.S. Political base, right, an embassy, where 4 Americans died, and we had 3 trials over 6 years for Hillary, and they weren't even involved. Obama had nothing to do with it. He was just president at the time. He didn't tell the people, he didn't tell them, hey, I don't like those ambassadors over there. You guys should get rid of our American ambassadors. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. He didn't do anything like that. He just happened to be in office. And we had 3 trials to convict this guy of doing some wrongdoing. Meanwhile, Trump is like, if you guys could break in and fuck shit up, that'd be fantastic. And it happened on our soil here in America. It's Benghazi times 20.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the weird thing to me, is that there's not going to be 3 trials. There's not going to be. I mean, I hope there's something. I mean, there is this. Why are they so upset about Benghazi and going after Hillary and going after Obama? You know, all these trials and all these years over something that was unfortunate that happened.
No, you know,
they're not going to give a shit about this.
They're doing it because they have because of Fox News, because of AM hate radio, because of oligarchical money going into and also churches. Hello, evangelical churches, just churning this.
Yeah, it's a little out of place for the 3 of us to talk about what the Christians should do, but Christian America needs to have a reckoning with the evangelicals, right? 78% of evangelicals voted for this. And
but I'll tell you what, though. I've been saying this for the last few days. As an atheist, a lot of my friends that are liberal, that aren't atheists, like my podcast partner Ty, he's not an atheist. He's not a religious guy, but he believes in some kind of higher power or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't go to church or anything like that. But I tell people, I'm like, all these people, so many friends of mine are like, how can people believe these conspiracies? How does it get this far? How do these crazy people go down this crazy road with no evidence? And I'm like, hello, I've been talking about your talking snake and your resurrection and your virgin birth. What the fuck are you talking? Like, I've been telling you this is what skeptics and what atheists have been saying about chemtrails and religion forever. This shit is dangerous. Sure, you think astrology is just funny. It's dangerous thinking.
It is dangerous.
To magical thinking and not believing in evidence is dangerous. And this is where it goes. So all these people that are like, how could this have happened? How do people believe all this crazy nonsense? Motherfucker, you believe in a goddamn talking snake. What are you talking about?
What's the percentage of the American public that don't believe in evolution?
50%, I believe.
It's really high. So when you have a population, I'm not saying that there's a causality here, but there's a correlation between believing in talking snakes and not science, and thinking that there are rape tunnels underneath Hillary Clinton's house. There's some kind of correlation there.
That's actually easier to believe, in my opinion. Like, at least you go, okay, well, maybe there's some creepy people out there that have done some creepy stuff. And Jeff Epstein is a real guy, and he did hang out with these people. So, and we do know that Trump probably raped a 13-year-old. Okay, so it's not that weird that maybe Bill Clinton did some stuff, and maybe they're all hiding it. And okay, so you can go down this road, especially if you believe in a talking snake and a resurrection and a virgin birth. I mean, so for me, I've been saying all along, it's like, none of these people, how many religious people do you know actually read the Bible or give a crap? They don't. Trump, the reason evangelicals went for Trump, even though he's the exact opposite, is because they don't give a shit about Jesus anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
Jesus is no longer their savior. Trump is their savior. They have completely they've substituted one cult for another. So it's not that you're like, wow, Trump is the opposite of Jesus. Why would these people who love Jesus? Because they don't love Jesus anymore. They love Trump.
I want to add on to.
You go, Andy.
I want to add on to that. Not only do evangelicals are more likely to believe in crazy stuff because, well, they believe in crazy stuff, but they're also more likely to rationalize someone doing crazy stuff since they have to rationalize what their leaders are doing. Mm-hmm. They have to rationalize their Bible. If they do read their Bible, they have to rationalize all the crazy stuff that's in there. And so, yeah, you believe in crazy stuff. You're more likely to believe in crazy stuff. If you have to rationalize those beliefs, then you're more than likely to have to rationalize the leaders' shortcomings.
Well, and also Trump was kind of primed by the prosperity gospel rhetoric, right? Like Trump's whole shtick is just kind of stick with me and things will be great, right? And there's a trust the plan and all of that, right? So, like, there was this kind of have faith in the idea and therefore it will happen kind of magical thinking that goes along with the prosperity gospel bullshit they've been selling to these people for the last 20 years, But
there's also a reason that, I mean, I know this, I always come off as a cynical dick. I don't mean to be, it's my nature. But there's also a direct correlation. There's a reason that people believe, like the hardcore religious people, when you talk to somebody and they say like, well, without a Bible or without a book or without a fear of God or fear of hell, why would you be a good person? And to us, we say, well, because that's the right thing to do because I wouldn't want. And to them, it's like, well, no, I need this because I'm a shitty human being. And without this threat, I have nothing to base my morality on. And when you think about why there's so many Republicans, what is the nature of republicanism, of conservatism? Conservatism is greed. Yeah. Conservatism is me. Liberalism is us. Liberalism is the greater good. How can I help more people? Sure, and that's still selfish because the more people I help, the more people are going to want to help me. That's still a selfish need, but it's still about the greater good. What affects society better? Republicanism, conservatism is what affects me.
Yeah.
Wars, my guns, protect my house, protect my property, make more money, pay fewer taxes. That's what they want. So when you go, well, that's not anything about Jesus. Well, no, it isn't. But they don't care about all the socialism of Jesus. They care about the Jesus of, how do I not go to hell? Yeah. What can I do to feel better so that when I die, I get to do the right thing? How do I get saved? That's all they care about. So if Trump comes along and goes, I will save you money, I will save you this, that's all they care about. Me. They're not kidding. That's the reason they're religious.
I really want to touch on this whole gaslighting, because when you were talking about believers who don't believe, who think that they wouldn't do good, that they wouldn't be good people if they didn't have that book because they're naughty people, they've been gaslit. They have been gaslit by their leaders. They've been gaslit by their mom and their dads, unintentionally maybe. They've been gaslit by the Bible to make them believe that they need evangelicalism, that they need Christianity, that they need someone, they need some kind of to quote or paraphrase Hitchens, some kind of heavenly despot to keep them in line. But that's gaslighting. That's all that is.
Well, I think some of them are true sociopaths, and they know that. I mean, I've met people that I've said, you really believe that without a book telling you not to rape somebody, that you would rape somebody? And I've had people say to me, yeah. Then I'm like, cool, have a book. You keep your book.
But that's only like maybe 4% of the population.
Over there for me. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you there.
I said, yeah, you can have a book over there and stay away from me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I agree it's a small percentage.
Yeah, it's a small percentage.
You know. But again, I still feel that you're right. They've been gaslit, but also there's something about and I don't know if this is genetic. I think a lot of it is genetic. I think you can learn, because I've seen people go from one to the other. I've seen people based on where they live and who their social circle is. You know, I know somebody who is my wife's best friend who grew up in Santa Cruz with us, and I think she was liberal and normal, didn't go to church, didn't do anything like that. She married some guy and she moved to Texas, and she was my wife's best friend for 20 some years. My wife won't even talk anymore. She unfriended her. She told people not to go to any of my shows. She became this religious right-wing Trump nut in the last few years, just because she moved to Texas, has a bunch of conservative people that she hangs around with and goes to a church. And I think there's that, but I also think that there is definitely something to do with brain chemistry, with how your computer functions, right?
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. My girlfriend, her parents attempted to indoctrinate her from a young age, did not take. She's, has an engineer analytical mind. Me, I'm much more passionate and given to religious experiences. And so it took me a while to get out of the faith.
Yeah.
There is some kind of continuity. There's some kind of, just like any other trait, there's a bell curve. And some of us are more prone to religious experiences and religiosity than others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's the same thing with, liberalism or conservatism. I think some people's brains, I think they've done studies and pretty much shown that if you show the same people, or if you show people the same images, they're like politically charged images or whatever, that certain parts of their brain function differently depending on, and from that they can pretty much figure out which way you vote. If the centers that are depending on, or the centers that what is it, the word I'm looking for, that work with your empathy or work with that they light up on certain pictures with certain people, and they can determine that those people are going to vote liberal. Yeah. And the ones that, when that same thing happens, that fear lights up in their brain or whatever, that it's just a real basic thing where certain people's decisions are based more on fear and certain people's decisions are based more on empathy and things like that.
Yeah. Interestingly, I remember reading a study about the ick factor. I mean, people who feel icky about dirty, gooey, moldy stuff. And if you have a high ick reaction, like that kind of reaction, you're more likely to be conservative, politically speaking.
Sorry, I was getting some feedback. That's why I got what was going on. I had some weird feedback in my headphones when I was talking. That's if you wondered why I was like stopping for a second. But yeah, I think for sure. I mean, look at people who, to me, it's like fear is a big thing. In conservatism, like when you look at the people that are the gun-toting people that need their gun to go to Starbucks, and they're always these like machismo, like, I'm a tough guy. And like, you're the tough guy who needs a gun to go to get a latte. Like, that's not very tough. Yeah. Like, because it's like, well, what happens if there's Muslim terrorists down there at Starbucks? I better be able to defend myself. It's like, what kind of weird paranoid world? Everyone I know that says I need a gun, they're like, well, I go for what? Well, home invasions. Where does that happen? I live in South Central Los Angeles. I've never seen a home invasion. Like, you live in Pawtucket, Kentucky with 15 people and they're all your cousins. Who's robbing your house? Who's home invasion raping you or murdering you or whatever it is you think is going on? Like you're John Wick or something. It's some sort of crazy paranoia.
There's this, and we all know this. I mean, skeptics, or at least aware of it somewhat, is that the more dangerous the more dangerous a society is, the more likely they are to become religious. There's a high religiosity when you don't know where your next meal is going to be, or if you're going to have health insurance, you have a roof over your head. So, I think that there is a clear relationship between fear and conservatism and fear and religiosity.
So if we just get health care, we can drop religiosity by another 20% in this country?
The the existential threat against religion in this country isn't Richard Dawkins. It isn't education. It is a functioning health system. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but what I'm saying is that Republicans hate people having health care, and having a good healthcare system is the biggest threat against evangelical Christianity in this country.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I've never heard it put like that, but I think that might be absolutely true.
I think that's a fair point. And not even just evangelical Christianity. It's a threat to the Catholic Church too. They own a fantastic number of hospitals, especially in flyover country.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably more to it than just that too, as well. Like healthcare for sure, but just things like, cheaper free education. It's not just about getting the education and becoming smarter. It's about having the opportunity to do it. Opportunity, like you said, anything that quells your fear,
right,
is going to allow you to relax and not have to. Yeah, you don't have to pray. We don't need thoughts and prayer. You don't need thoughts and prayers anymore.
Yeah, I prayed the most when I was a Christian. I prayed the most when I was afraid. I'll tell you that. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Well, it's also, I mean, this is a running joke, but everyone knows it. So what I'm saying is redundant, but it's, why is it that the people who believe in God and believe in prayer are the ones that are the most armed? It's it's always the people that are like, that are not worried about. They're not worried about COVID, so I don't need to wear a mask, but I need a gun to go to Starbucks again. And you're like, well, wait a minute, you ain't afraid? I ain't afraid of no COVID. I ain't wearing no damn mask, but I better pack some heat to go to Walmart because there might be Muslims there. Like, well, it's this weird idea that when they get shot in a church, the church gets shot up, and they have thoughts and prayers. Well, how's that going to work? It's always the people that think that prayer works. Well, if prayer works, what the hell do you need a gun for?
Well, just to get back to your point about Starbucks, I've heard that Starbucks has this Antifa coffee.
Yeah. Ooh.
You got to defend yourself against the Antifa coffee.
The Antifa latte, is that what it's called?
That's exactly what it is. And I hear it's going to change your sexuality or maybe your gender. So that's what they have to really arm up against.
Well, I hear what they're doing there is they're making sure that there's no white milk. It's all about stopping the white race from. So all their lattes are served black only.
Well, it's yes.
Coffee matters.
I think you're quite right.
So yeah, it's the whole thing. It's a whole thing at Starbucks now. It's all part of the conspiracy. It started with them taking Jesus off the cup.
Well, that's what it was exactly. And they have all those heathen symbols too. That woman, they're
mermaidy thing.
Yeah, obviously pagan, Satan.
Well, and also she's female.
Well,
so,
that's
ugh.
Yeah.
What's a woman doing on a cup? I mean, you know what? I mean, men make those cups, so they should know better.
All right, lads. So, hey, for everyone in the chat, thanks for coming in. Thanks for hitting the like button. Hope you subscribe. But before we close up, let's talk about inherent. I know we're pivoting. Here. Is there anything else we want to talk about the apocalypse? And we don't have you on that. I mean, you're here quite a bit, but it's been a while. Is there anything else you want to touch on about this Capitol stuff and the aftermath?
Honestly, I just can't wait to see how it goes. I really think it's going to die down, not rapidly, but it's going to die down when COVID, again, fear, when COVID starts going away, when people start being able to get out of their house more, do things, feel normal, and we can stop some of this rhetoric, and Trump is gone and we don't have to hear him all fucking day long on TV. I think things are going to start going back to some, it's not going to be fixed or healed for sure. But I think it's going to be a huge start, and it's 10 days now. I don't even know how many days it is. 12 and something like that. It's like I just can't wait. Just get this fool out and it's going to be, things are going to start pretty quickly. I think pretty quickly things are going to start getting better.
Guys, I just want to let you know, everyone in the chat too, and this is the first time I mentioned this, but I have a Trump head pinata.
Ooh,
I have a Trump head pinata, and I'm going to beat the F out of it. I'm going to beat the F out of it on Inauguration Day.
It's a good plan.
just beat it. I don't even know what I'm gonna beat it with, but I'm gonna like destroy the thing. It's a good piñata too.
What are you going to put inside? Is there already stuff inside of it?
Oh no. I get to put all kinds of whatever I want. I was thinking about maybe some nips, something, or maybe just empty, or maybe I'm not really sure yet. But I know that the act of violence against this Trump piñata head I'm doing on the 20th.
Will make you feel better.
You need to put something symbolic in there. So something comes pouring out of it that represents something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of candy or what you could put in there, but I'll have to think on that because that would be.
Send me suggestions, everyone. You can go on my on the channel.
AOC in there, and then she could spring forth like Athena out of Apollo, or
out of Zeus's head.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
So we decided this is a weird bit. We decided I was watching the 1999 remake of Inherit the Wind, which is a fine film that everyone should watch about the Scopes monkey trial. But I was watching the final bit where Matthew Brady just kind of breaks down after the trial is over, and I decided that it would be really funny to hear it in Donald Trump's voice, and Ian happens to do a fine Donald Trump impersonation. So we're going to try doing this bit as kind of like this is what Trump. This should be like Trump's closing speech on Inauguration Day, like as he's wandering off into the nursing home or care facility or whatever they're going to put him in.
Trumpism.
Sure. So this scene in Inherit the Wind, of course, the Snopes monkey trial, William Jennings Bryan, he won officially the case, but yet he is still left behind in some way.
Yes.
Gotta comb it over. Gotta comb it all over to one side.
It's beautiful. Ian.
There we go. I feel more like Bill Murray in Kingpin.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
You're Ian, I want to sign up for your OnlyFans account right now.
Right? I got the red tie. We got the red tie. We got the fantastic comb over. A little bit crazy.
Okay. So this like maybe 2-minute bit. It's gonna be mostly Trump playing William Jennings Bryan and the Snopes monkey trial. Jack and I will play secondary characters.
Making ridiculous. All right.
All right. Here we go. I'm gonna take on my old timey voice because the Snopes monkey trial was in old timey times.
It is, yeah.
All right. Here it comes. Lemonade. Get your nice cold lemonade.
My friends, dear friends. Okay, your attention, please. Everyone, can you pay attention, please? Look, friends, fellow citizens, friends of the unseen audience. Okay.
That microphone's not plugged in, sir. It's not on.
Are you sure? Okay. From the hallowed hills of sacred, what is this? Sinai? Where is this place? I don't know. It sounds foreign. From the days of remote antiquity, from a long time ago. Okay, it was a very long time ago. Antiquity, something like that. Antique. It's very old. Came a law, which has been our bulwark, which is a great film, by the way. Warren Beatty, really good guy. Bulwark. You should see it. Very fantastic from the 90s. Very good. I think a lot of it was filmed in Trump Tower. You should watch it. Our shield. Okay, whatever that means.
It's all over, but the shouting.
Look, age upon age, men have looked to the law. Okay, as my friend Bill Barr, they've looked to the law as they would to the mountains whence cometh our strength. Okay, we're very strong. We're strong people. We're very strong. And here in this courtroom, okay, we have been vindicated. We've been vindicated. Okay, are you listening to this, people? We have been vindicated. Okay, it's vindication is what it is. It's a thing that happens when you're vindicated. It's called vindication. Okay, in the hallowed hills of sacred, Mr. Chief Justice, citizens of these United States, look, okay, in my term, in the White House, the resolute desk, okay, where I like to sit, I pledge to carry out my programs, okay, for the betterment of the common people, okay, people lesser than me, you know who I'm talking to, okay, common people who aren't as good as Trump, but you know what I mean, the common people of this country, okay, you people, you lower people, as your new president, I say what I have said all of my life, okay?
And in the movie, William Jennings dies just like that. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
If only. Sorry, my microphone dropped.
Oh.
Okay, I hope that was okay.
That was beautiful. That you owned the role, Ian. That's what you did. You
Huge scenery. Wonderful.
All right. So we're going to close up shop here, everyone. We're going to close up shop. Everyone in the chat, thanks for showing up. Ian Harris, what do you got any what are you doing? Are you working on projects, or are you just daddying, or what?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of. I wrote. Quarantine has been good. I wrote like 3 films, and I've got one that we're hoping to be in January, but we're still trying to get a lead. I can't say who, but we're out to a couple A-list actors, and hoping that we'll be shooting it in March. It's called Standby, and then I've got another one that I'm hoping called Closure that we should hopefully be shooting in the summertime if we can get the funding for that one. But one is funded and ready to go. So I'm wrote and directing a feature film, and then doing the podcast every Friday at noon with my buddy Ty Barnett on Facebook. If anyone follows me on Facebook, watch our show. It's Critical and Thinking with Ty Barnett and Ian Harris every Friday noon Pacific.
Fantastic. And where can people find you online, sir?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find. You search Ian Harris, and I look like this: bald hair, bald head, glasses. And my handle's always Comediocre. Comedy and mediocre. It's a portmanteau. Comediocre. I'm easy to find. I'm very Comediocre.
And Jack Matirko, it wouldn't be a show without me asking you how Big Satan is doing.
I mean, Big Satan seems to be doing it. I don't know if you saw their New Year's extravaganza, but that was a lot of fun. Things are going okay over there. They're at the Satanic Temple virtual headquarters. They're gearing up for their Lupercalia celebration, which is going to be a lot of fun. We've already got a bunch of cool acts slated, including like some fun table read stuff and a bunch of random sexy performances from burlesque people and things like that. So that'll be a good time. I mean, it's cool having that virtual space to hang out in. Other than that, right now there's a script thing I'm working on, but I don't think that's really ready to talk about yet.
Gotcha.
Wait, it's close.
It's close. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to your projects. Definitely. My name is Andy Hall. I will be back here, believe it or not, at 9:00 in the morning. I've got a show set up, just me talking into the void with a bunch of funny clips, a few observations, and some news. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen and small furry animals, thanks for showing up this evening. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Be strong.
Thank you.
Bye.